everybody, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime, and I'm joined with a special guest today.
Hi, my name is Sammy Lamb, also known as the Wine Cowboy. Let's hit it.
And today we're going to be talking about Wanderlust Wine Company. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, so like I said, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime, and today we're going to be talking about Wanderlust. It's going to be a really cool thing that's going to be coming soon. So I wanted to give Sammy a chance to talk to it and kind of talk about how he got into wine, why he loves it so much, how we met, and then kind of talk about what's going to be going on here in Austin. So Sammy, introduce us.
Awesome. Well, pardon our sweat right now. We are in the middle of summer. It is about 100 degrees outside, and as you may see, we're still working on our AC and basically all the improvements that are needing to be done in our facility, in our future winery. So my name is Sammy Lamb. I am from McAllen, Texas, down in the valley. Whoop, whoop. And I come from a dry family, funny enough, but I guess I'll start the story with an emotional twist, I guess. My mother passed away when I was 16, and this was right before I went into college. And so, you know, as a upcoming college kid, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do in life. And so, you know, she was my guide, my light, and there was three things in life that she loved. She loved cruises, wine, and Italian men. So I was like, you know, I will do whatever I can in my power to remember her and honor her. And so I actually studied abroad on a ship called Semester at Sea. The program was called Semester at Sea. I actually started working for them as well. And during my actual travels with Semester at Sea, I took a course called Geography of Wine on fall of 2013. So that really launched me into my career path, but also my passion for wine. So after that voyage, I started working for different producers like Chateau Ste. Michelle, Infinite Monkey Theorem. They're actually down the street now. Silver Vines, First Colony, King's Family, and just said, okay, I've had the experience, but now I really want to get an education behind this. So I did this program called the OIV MSc, and it is a master's program based out of France where you get to travel to 27 countries in the course of about 12 months. And
that sounds like a hard life.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It sounds just so rough.
And so you're getting to learn what the wine industry is like abroad. And so the idea is once you are exposed to all these different things happening around the world, or especially in the world of wine, what can you do to bring back to your local community and to your local market? And so straight off the bat, I was interested in developing Wanderlust Wine Company because I was pairing two things that I was very passionate about: travel and wine. So Wanderlust, the desire to travel, and wine, obviously. And so I was like, I want to put these two concepts into a wine brand, essentially, and launch it after I finished my studies. So I found my niche, and my focus was alternative and innovative packaging. So as I'll show you guys in a while, in a bit, I actually have some kegs in the area here. So we're gonna have the largest wine on tap winery here in Austin, Texas by 2020. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
So when you say the largest, like how many taps are you gonna have here?
We're gonna have, just in our front tasting room, we're gonna have 56 different wines on tap.
And do you rent beds?
We might be able to. Yeah, we'll see if they let us. Yeah, why not? It'd be awesome. Stay at our winery. We have some vineyards outside, so you know, city vineyards, of course. Take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, 56 wines on tap, and it's also going to be self-pour. So you, as a patron, can come in. We'll check your ID, of course. We'll pre-authorize your card, but then you're given the freedom to have a self-discovery journey of trying different wines from around the world at your own pace. And so the idea is to make wine more fun, more accessible, more approachable, and take away the intimidation and the pretense that tends to follow with wine. And so I just want to make wine people's beverage, you know, wine for the people.
Wine for the people. So with all those different types of wines on tap, what kind of, like, are you going to have it kind of broken into like section, like come explore Italy, come explore Texas, like all these different areas? Or is it just going to be like, hey, here's like where the reds are, here's where the whites are? Like what are you kind of thinking in terms of how people discover this?
Absolutely. So our 56 taps are going to be divided into tablets, and each tablet will be kind of basically assigned to 4 taps. So you're gonna basically have 14 different flight options, and so we'll have our tap wall divided by whites and reds. And so you'll have your Cabernet flights, your Chardonnay flights, your Sauvignon flights. So to answer your question, we will have a focus on wines from all over the world. And so we'll be able to rotate on a monthly basis the different wines that we're offering for a certain category. So say, for example, this week we're gonna feature Cabernet Sauvignons from France, for example, from or from Australia or from wherever. And so just give different options for people, and that gives people an excuse to come back and try different wines from around the world. And so our slogan, our motto is travel the world through wine, one flight at a time. So you'll be able to kind of
Nice.
perpetually do that or have that concept envisioned and laid out here in our winery. So.
And so you also mentioned that you were looking at other types of things to be here as well. So it may not just be wine. You were kind of thinking about also allowing folks who maybe are coming here who are with friends, but they either the DD or somebody like that. The sad people. I mean, let's be honest, they're the sad people. But you were also saying that you're going to have something like that for them too, right?
So yes, there's going to be a lot of things happening in our facility. We're going to have obviously the tasting aspect on this side, and so I'll actually give you guys a tour at the end of this. But our main building, so we have two buildings at our winery, and so our main building will be divided between the tasting and serving portion and then our lounging area. So in our lounging area, we're gonna have a stage where there's gonna be live music, events, wine seminars, master classes. We even have a building in the back that's gonna be particularly specialized in that type of area. So you're gonna have different master somms that are gonna be giving different seminars or courses. We're gonna try to partner up with the Texas Wine School, which is where we got to meet each other during the WSET program. So anything and everything that can help the Texas wine consumer grow their appreciation and knowledge about wine. So yeah, so there's going to be stuff for everybody that comes into the building. Of course, you do have to be 21 and over to come in because of the aspect that we're self-pour. So there's going to be either wine classes, courses, different events. We're trying to work with different local organizations such as like Bumble, Austin Pets Alive, so that we can bring in these organizations and collaborate and get the community involved, right? We're strategically placed right in the heart of downtown Austin. We're right next to I-35 and 6th Street. So if y'all are familiar with Austin, Texas, this is like the gateway to everything, the entertainment district.
Yes, restaurants, everything.
Whatever your choice is for the evening, we would love to be your starting or stopping point. And so on that note, if y'all may know, the Texas Hill Country AVA is the second most visited wine region in the U.S. after Napa. And most of the winery tour buses, they actually leave right in front of us. So now they actually have a reason why they should pick up people.
You're like,
here.
Hey, come here.
Come on over. And so we'll offer courses for these people to, go out into the Hill Country and have a basic understanding of what to look for when they're trying to assess wines. I mean, both objectively and subjectively, because wine, you can do both. You can either see it from a very kind of pragmatic level, or you can see it more on like, I like this, I'm having fun, and wine is actually, it's a story, and so it really creates an environment where people are able to socialize and create an everlasting experience. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter much about the wine, it's about the people that you're with and the experiences that come with it. So.
All right, so another thing that I want to talk about is, so there's a lot of places who open up and they do like these urban wineries and they do stuff like that, but it's still almost like an average tasting room experience. So why are you looking at doing wine on tap?
So there's a lot of reasons, right? And there's a cliche in the wine world that goes, you need money to make money in the wine business, and that's very true. I mean, these wineries that are starting up, I mean, they're putting a lot of money into their equipment, their production, and stuff like this. So we're going to be a hybrid between basically a large tasting room and a production facility that's going to outsource most of its production for the first few years, all Texas grapes. And why the keg or why the can, right? Why the alternative and innovative packaging? So I wanted, number one, to differentiate my business from other different businesses in the area. But number two, it actually has a less of a carbon footprint when it comes to the world of wine. So when you have a bottle like this, imagine all the transportation that it takes to transport these bottles, and so it gets heavy. It gets really heavy, and then the case only fits 12, whereas a keg, being almost the same size, will carry 26 bottles. And so kegs are reusable up to about 30 years. I think that's what people are saying. So that's it's a huge number of wine bottles that are being being avoided throwing into the landfill. And so you're having less of an impact in the environment. It's more sustainable, more eco-friendly, and it's also fresher. So I will say, so right now there's a trend, right? It's like people go to a restaurant and they want that traceability. They say, I want something that's from farm to table. And I will kind of follow that by saying, well, my wines are from tank to glass or from barrel to glass, and there's no middle vessel that can influence the way that wine's gonna taste. I mean, when you put it in a bottle, all the surface area that's touching the wine could affect it at some point, either through light penetration through oxygen penetrating through the cork. The cork itself could have an influence in wine. And so with a keg like that, there's not much that can happen to the wine in it, and it'll remain fresh for up to 3 months once it's tapped, and it'll remain fresh for 6 months if it's not tapped. So that guarantees more freshness in the long term. And so it makes more sense for businesses and hotels, stuff like this. So it makes sense for business, it makes sense for the environment, and it's fresher. And so those are like the main reasons why I was attracted to this industry. And then for canned wine, it's more portable. It's, you can take it out, it's not glass. I mean, if you're out in the beach, you want to have a nice glass of wine, but you can't because it is glass. Boom, you just and hit it, So.
Yeah, it's so and now let me get your opinion on this because I've read about this and I've seen other people's opinion on it. But there are some people who say that the keg will not taste the same as something that you bottle. And not even to the point where like we both know that because if you let something sit in a cellar, obviously oxygen and everything was going to impact it over time. But I mean, in this case, we're not really worried too much about wine being stored for 5 years, right? Like, I mean, that's not the point of what you're doing here. But one thing that some people do say is that just having it kegged instead of bottled influences the taste and the character of the wine in a different way. Have you experienced any of that with what you've tried while experimenting with this?
Yeah, I mean, the industry itself is relatively young, so there's a lot of experimentation that's happening to see up to what extent we can, or what types of wines we can put in the keg format. To give you an idea, there is the possibility to put fine wines in keg. I mean, but will people want to do that? Will producers want to do that? I mean, there's a lot of value that comes with the bottle of wine, the experience, the romance of opening a bottle of like, you don't get that out of a keg. You just get. So you lose a little bit of that. There's not as much branding or marketing that is beneficial when you're putting it in a keg, right? I mean, I guess you could only really brand with a tap handle, but people don't really see a keg. So business-wise, it doesn't make sense sometimes for a producer to keg their top wines in some type of vessel of that sort. But I mean, if you're coming straight out of a barrel and putting it into a keg, it's the same thing as putting it into a bottle. There won't be as much oxidation that's happening, and so there won't be an evolution of the wine. So that's the only thing I could say about that. But to give you an idea, one of the highest wines I've ever seen in the keg category has been a Bordeaux wine from Margaux, and it was a Cru Bourgeois. I believe that's how you pronounce it. So it's not a first growth or second growth, but it is deemed by the local producers to be of prime or ultimate quality for that vintage. And it's in keg format. And
wow.
That is really, really cool. And so the idea is to, one, bring a new way for Texans to experience wine and to grow that wine appreciation. But also, in terms of like our national view on wine, is to grow the market of wine on tap or keg wine, and show producers like, hey, you can actually have some of your top quality wines in keg and serve it in a more eco-friendly and sustainable way. Will they do it? Will they do that? Excuse me. That depends on, are they willing to sacrifice a little bit of their margins, right? Because it's not much that's being spent on packaging where most of the value comes from. At some point it's like, all right, you're just paying for the label than you are for the wine. So yeah, it's just a matter of changing people's perception on it, and I think it's the future. I think it's amazing. It remains fresh. You are using inert gas just like you would with a Coravan or something like this, but now you have wine on tap, 26 bottles to go through, There's even sherry on tap that I've seen. There's vermouth, sake. I mean, you name it, you can put it in a keg. But once again, will people do that? Will producers want to do that? They're afraid of how their image is going to be impacted, of, will they be consistent with their brand? But if people are asking for it, they will adopt, or at least they'll have a certain line that, certain wine label that they'll put in the market to be able to accommodate that demand.
So you had picked up that bottle a couple times.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It has your label on it. So you're going to be making your own wine as part of this
Correct.
too, right? That's what's going to be on tap.
So,
what are you kind of thinking about in terms of those?
This all started back, like I said, in 2013, and this was with a girl I was dating back in the day, and we had made our first batches of wine. And this is the logo and the brand that we had designed, but this no longer is the deal. I mean, we'll show you guys the actual label. But yes, we will be making our own wines. Out of the 56 taps that we'll have, we will reserve about 4 of them for our personal brands. And so we're gonna have different phases for our company. So we're gonna start off as a tasting room, outsourcing all that production to producers here in Texas, so 100% Texas grapes. We'll have a white, a red, a rosé, and a sparkling. But then, we are gonna grow, and so at that point, we're gonna launch our product into the international distribution. We're gonna have our own production facility, our own packaging facility. So we want to kind of streamline everything and have that control in our hands rather than having all these moving pieces everywhere. But you gotta start somewhere. And so one thing that I constantly tell people is this is a grassroots project, and it's been amazing. Like, I'm just a 27-year-old kid that's trying to make it in the world of wine, and I don't come from money, but it's the community that comes together. And what other industry does this than wine? I feel like wine really brings people together, and everybody's excited and wants to get involved. So it's definitely just up to right now. It's taught me so much, and I bet I'm just gonna continuously grow. And I feel the George Clooney Silver Fox look will be coming in shortly, with all the stress that comes after it. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm excited for you guys to. I was gonna say for me to serve a glass to y'all, but since we're so poor, I guess you can serve it yourself.
Maybe you'll check their IDs.
Yeah, I'll check your IDs, and then we'll have a glass.
So I am gonna pull back into something that you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So we met during our WSET level 3, and we have a running joke. And he knows exactly where I'm going with this. So during our tastings, we were given 2 wines. If I remember, one was like a Barolo or a Barbaresco or something like that. It was this super powerful tannic red. And this other one, well, I thought it was pretty simple. He thought it was pretty complex. And it turned out to be, what was it, Il Ducale Pinot Grigio, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
And so, are you going to have Il Ducale Pinot Grigio on tap?
We will have Pinot Grigio.
Oh, I was going to hope yes.
I don't know if they're in the keg format, but I would love to, just to say, I appreciate you guys. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Once again, wine can be perceived or I guess reviewed on a very personal level. And so, like, depending on your experiences in life, what you've been able to smell and taste, you'll be able to assess wine and describe it. And to me, it was just awesome. I stick to my ground.
Well, so I will agree with you. I thought it was a very good wine.
Yeah.
I did not see the complexity that you saw in it, though. And so we got out of that, and we were all talking, and there was like 2/3 of us who were like, no, it was a simple wine, it was this. And then I think it was you and Malin, maybe, that was like, no, we thought it was complex.
Yeah.
And so we're like, the rest of us are sitting around going, oh crap, what did we not see? For months, while we were waiting on these results to come back, I was second guessing myself all the time. Like every time we were chatting and like texting each other and cracking jokes about it being complex, in the back of my mind, every single time I thought, what if it was?
Yeah.
And I just bombed this tasting.
Well, and we'll let our audience know. So we both passed.
We both passed.
Yeah. And I guess when we qualified it either as simple or complex, once again, I think that came to our personal, subjective review of the wine. So, but objectively,
please go on.
They're like, alert.
Hey. No. This is not a simple wine. This was complex. You were wrong.
So, but no, we passed. It was an intense course, but if y'all are ever thinking of doing it, we highly recommend it. Just make sure that you have the time for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's, what was it? I think it was like 2 months or 3 months of coursework and courses that we had to go and attend to and taste wines in.
Yeah, and so we did the hybrid course. So the way that worked is there was a lot of sort of online lecture provided to you, videos, stuff like that you go through. You listen to it as much as possible, try to retain as much. Then we went in class and we did all the tastings.
Right.
And there were times where we were tasting like 25 plus wines per session.
Right.
And so we would just go in there, do all the tastings, make our notes, kind of make sure that everybody was synced up. And we did that for, you were about 3 months, somewhere 2.5, 3 months. And then we go in and we take the test. And you just hope that you pass because it takes like 10 to 12 weeks to get your results back.
You're just sweating just like we are right now.
I know.
You're just like every day you're like, did I pass? Was it simple? Was it complex? I don't know, you know.
I'm not gonna lie, I had a nightmare in which I did not pass and my wife was so mad at me that I had to retake that test because the next one wasn't until like December. And so like I got back into studying for like the rest of the year and my wife was just like not having it in that dream.
But along those lines, so we experienced this where you're having to look for resources, and there's I guess at least in the Austin area, because I know you're based out of San Antonio, and in San Antonio it might be the same thing. There's not a lot of resources when it comes to establishments that can help you.
Almost nothing in San Antonio. Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do, especially with the self-pour, is if these people are interested in getting any type of certification and they want to try wines, they're going to have 56 different wines that they can try by the ounce. And so you're basically paying for a small sip. And so you, as a wine student, right, can be able to continuously grow your wine knowledge and appreciation through a place like us. And we're actually going to have a wine book library in the back, so that you can just sit down, lounge, and read some books. And it'll create this more of a community, a wine community for people in the area that can come in and share their passion about wine, but also help educate each other. And so, when I was studying abroad, obviously they see us Texans as like people that don't really know much about wine, but being the second most visited wine region in the US, that says something. And I think we're the 5th largest wine or grape producer when it comes to like making wine in the US as well. So we're up and coming, and how are we gonna continuously grow our industry, which currently the wine industry in Texas has a $13 billion impact in our state's economy. I mean, that is huge.
Yeah.
So imagine like if we actually join our efforts and help people within our state grow their passions for wine, what we can do would be really cool, at least for me, have more wines here. But yeah, so I'm excited about what's to come. We're about 5,000 square feet, so we can fit a good chunk of people, and being so strategically placed for South by Southwest, if you guys come out, it's gonna be wild, it's gonna be awesome.
All right, so this is it for the interview portion, but we are gonna do a little bit of a tour. So if you made it this far, Sammy's gonna kind of give us an idea of what this building's gonna look like when it's fully developed, show you kind of what he has in mind.
Welcome back, guys. I just wanted to show you or give you a quick tour of our future winery here in downtown Austin. Like I said, right in front of me is 6th Street, one of the most busiest and fun districts or areas in downtown Austin. Next to me is I-35 with about 125,000 vehicles passing on it per day. And right next to all this is the future Wanderlust Wine Company, baby. That's right. So I'll actually move on this side so y'all can see it a little bit better. We are promoting to be the largest wine on tap winery in Texas, but I honestly believe we are gonna be the largest in the world. So stay tuned and let's go check out the inside. So as y'all saw, we just came in through the front door, and basically to my right here is gonna be the check-in station, and I'll actually give Wine on the Dime some of the renderings that we're thinking of implementing here in our main tasting room. But you'll check in here, get your ID checked, your credit card pre-authorized, then you're gonna get your glass and your RFID card, and then our huge 56 tap wall is going to be right here, where you can pour at your own pace your 2 glasses of wine at a time. So it's going to basically take up all of this middle space. Right here we're going to have our mosaic of different wine crate plaques, which you all may have seen already from our first interview. So we're going to have to break these babies down. To my right is all the barrels that we're actually going to stack up all the way to the ceiling. And so that way we're gonna have a separation of what basically is the serving area and then the lounging area. So 2 different atmospheres, obviously depends on what you wanna do. If you just wanna lounge and stay away from the bar, you're able to do so. On the other side, we're gonna have a stage where there's gonna be live music, events, seminars, whatever it is. We got you guys covered when it comes to the world of wine. This is an example of a keg of wine. And so Free Flow Wines is actually one of the leaders here in the US that kegs wine for different producers. And so they'll help import wines for these producers. They'll keg it, they'll can it, and then they'll put it out into the distribution channels. So really awesome people, check them out. So we're gonna actually have a bunch of these. There's different kegs that you can use, either stainless steel, you can use the key kegs, which are more of a plastic recyclable base. So yeah, this is about 2,500 square feet in the heart of downtown with a capacity of around 68, 69 people just in the main building. So now let's go to the patio and check that out. Right now it is hot, so we got some good lighting, but this is our patio, and we're so lucky that we just acquired this back building as well. So now we're gonna have all this space. I think that makes it around 5,000 square feet total. in this patio area, it is dog friendly, so people can bring their pets, hang out. We're gonna have all these patio furnishings, food trucks. So if you all are hungry, obviously you start drinking a little bit, you want something to eat. We're gonna have Heel of the Boot, which is an awesome Italian chef. Shout out Vito. He's gonna be posted either right here or right here on this side. And so Italian food, Mediterranean food, tapas style, so that you can sample not only wines from all over the world, but also have a sample of different types of snacks or food options. So the front building used to be a storage facility for the pedicaps in the city of Austin, but as y'all may have seen the scooters around y'all's different cities, that industry took that over. And so now the pedicaps have unfortunately left, giving us that space. And this used to be a tattoo parlor, but it will be, for us, more of an event space, an overflow of the main building. Also, we'll be able to serve some wine here, potentially self-serve as well, or some canned wine specifically. We'll also treat this as our wine education facility, so all the different seminars, workshops, master classes, wine, or paint and wine, yoga and wine, you name it, this is gonna be the space for that. And it has a capacity of around 48, 49 people, so. Some of the things that we're going to have to do is expand these bathrooms a little bit, so making them ADA accessible, just like the other building. We're going to be taking away this little office on this corner, and just having the full building for different purposes, bachelorette parties, event space, buyouts, you name it. So yeah, that is a quick tour of our facility, and we're excited to share a glass with y'all once we get up and running in spring of 2020. That's it.
I do highly encourage you to come to Wanderlust Wine Company when it opens up and pour yourself a few ounces, or a lot of ounces, just be responsible. Anyway, this has been Stuart with Wine on the Dime. If you like today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Please stop by Wanderlust Wine Company. Maybe you'll see me here, maybe you'll see Sammy, maybe you'll see both of us, and if you do, definitely say hi. And we will see you all again soon with another episode from Wine on the Dime.